Dream Dive is the segment where I pretty much talk about a future dream I wanted in Kingdom Hearts. So this is pretty much where I'm going to talk about like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had this in the next Kingdom Hearts game? And I have some things here. I'm going to pick this one. I'm going to pick NPCs. Now, what do I mean by NPCs? Let me just get into this. Kingdom Hearts was my entire life my favorite game series. It was always on the top because I love the plot. I love long running plots. Recently, in the past few years, it's actually been dethroned. Kingdom Hearts is number 2 now. My number 1 game series now is the Trail series. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel, Trails to Azure. I think Trails into the Reverie, the new one. They are very similar to Kingdom Hearts in terms of like they have like the series that I named, like those are like about 10 games. And those 10 games all are in the same world and they all have the same characters and like a connected plot. Like you'll have characters from each of the series kind of go into the other series and the plot is all connected. So like it's very Kingdom Hearts-esque in that way. But I just realized that the Trails games like kick Kingdom Hearts ass in terms of world building and characters. Like it's just so much better. Where like they have a much bigger cast and the world building is so much better because every single NPC in these games has something to say. So let me explain it this way. One of the games, Trails to Azure, you play as like a police force in a city. You can talk to every single NPC in that city and they have something to say. They have like 1 or 2 or 3 speech bubbles of dialogue to say. And every single time the story moves forward even a bit, all their dialogue will change. They'll like go to the next step of whatever they want to say. And that's not just a city, that's like every single person. So the main town of that game is Crossbell. Every single person has something to say. If you go outside the city, there's 4 joining towns, there's a church, there's like whatever. Every single person in those places has something to say too. And the story goes forward. You can talk to every single one again and they'll have something to say. And the reason this is amazing is that you get so many little micro stories. And I'll just give an example of one. And I'm talking about there's probably like hundreds of these in the game. But like one example is if you go outside the main city, if you go to a little rural town, there is a family, like a mom and a son you'll see like at a restaurant. And I talk to them, they're like, oh yeah, we're just here for vacation. And that's all they say. I'm like, cool. Play a few more hours, I advance the story, and I go talk to, the way I play, I literally talk to every single NPC every time the story goes forward. I promise I'll connect this back to Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, I move the story forward. I talk to everyone. I talk to those that mom and son again. And the mom's like, yeah, my son's just playing outside. And you see the son playing outside with like 2 other kids in the village. I move the story forward again. Talk to the mom and she's like, you know what? This place is pretty good. Like it's kind of a lot more peaceful than the city. I move the story forward again a few more hours later. The mom's like, you know what? I think I want to live here. And I talk to the son and the son's like, yeah, this place is kind of boring. Hopefully, we don't have to stay here anymore. I move the story again. And then like the son's like, oh man, you have to live here. This place kind of sucks. It's kind of boring. These kids are kind of weird. I don't want to play with them. Move the story forward again. And pretty much over the span of like 80 hours of the game, you get this micro story of the single mom coming to this town and the son kind of making friends with these kids and kind of getting more comfortable. And that's all. That's the story. And then you go to the second game and that story continues like another 80 hours and pretty much the son is now comfortable in this town. He really loves it. He doesn't even like the city he came from anymore. He's like really good friends with the kids there. And that's such a simple micro story. And that's just 2 characters I'm talking about. In that rural town, there's about like 20 NPCs. In the city of Crossbell, there's probably like 50, 60, 70 NPCs. There's other side towns with 20 NPCs. Every single one has a story like that if you talk to them and follow, you know their story throughout the 2 games. And I'm like, it blows my mind because it's like so much people won't even talk to them. And like I might be the rare person that actually talks to every single person. And if you point out an NPC in one of those games, I could be like, yeah, I know the story. Like I know what they've been through. And it's crazy. And sometimes you'll talk to an NPC, like this is like very wild. I'm gonna keep it vague just so there's no spoilers, but there's a main character in the game that's blind. And we don't know why she's blind. And I remember just talking to this random like old guy on a bench in like a residential district of the city. And I talked to him and he's like, oh man, I'm just remembering the time where I was in a truck accident or I witnessed a truck accident a few years ago. And I'm like, cool. I talked to him again and he had a different dialogue. He's like, yeah, that I still remember like yesterday that truck was on fire. And I remember the family that was a part of it. It was horrendous. I'm like, okay. I talked to him again and he's like, hopefully the daughter's doing fine. I heard she got blind. And I was like, whoa. Who are you talking about? And like, that's all he said, but I'm like, okay, I connected that. I'm like, oh, is that the main character that he's talking about? And what's wild is that fact doesn't actually get brought up into the main story until I think it was the end of that game, or like it wasn't even brought up till like the second game, where like it's revealed like, yeah, the reason she's blind is because she was a part of a car accident. And I'm like, it's wild that it gets brought up so late in the main story, but I, as a person who just talks to NPCs, have known that probably 80 hours earlier than anyone else if they missed that, because I just talked to this random dude in a residential district who's just sitting on a bench who has nothing to do with those characters. And that's just one example. There's so many more examples that I can go through where like I go to this random location and a cutscene just ends up playing for some reason that gives me a bit more tidbits about a character. And the reason I went on this long tangent is because all of this is because of the NPCs of the game. Now, take what I said about these NPCs in the Trails games and compare it to Kingdom Hearts. What NPCs do Kingdom Hearts have? Like they really don't. Like you'll have like, you know, like some that like have some like they have some like generic thing to say, but like in terms of plot, can you name an NPC in a Kingdom Hearts game that had something to say that either gave something that was important to the plot or something that was important to character? Not really. Like you just don't. And the reason I think Kingdom Hearts can't really do that is because their worlds are Disney focused. Kind of going back to my reflecting report, where like, what would they have to say? Like, what can they say that would be so important? And if what they said was character specific, like it would just be about the Disney world. And at that point, like, who cares? It has nothing to do with like the actual characters that you kind of care about in Kingdom Hearts. And so like, I'm not sure how they would fix this in Kingdom Hearts, if this even is a thing to fix, because this is just my opinion. But like, I really wish they would somehow find a way to like use NPCs to like further their story or just make it more interesting to explore. Because Kingdom Hearts, like, you don't really have to explore. You can just like gun the story. Like Kingdom Hearts is a game, now that I think about it, if you are interested in the story of Kingdom Hearts, you can just watch the cutscenes and you'll get the exact same amount of story, I believe. Like I'm just trying to think about it. Like I don't think there's anything gameplay wise where if you play it you will get more story than someone who just watches the cutscenes, just purely from a plot perspective. But if you take the Trails games, I can say with 100% confidence, someone who has played every single side quest of the Trails games and has talked to every single NPC has had a marginally better experience in terms of plot than someone who just went through the main storyline. That's a pretty insane like claim to make, but that is true. And with Kingdom Hearts, you just don't have that. So like us fans of Kingdom Hearts know that like Kingdom Hearts has like a pretty insane story, a long running story, and a pretty deep story too. But like it sucks that the only way they're really able to tell it is through cutscenes, which sucks, because like at that point it's like, why is it a game? And like obviously the game is fun, that's obviously a fundamental aspect of a game, but in terms of like having a vehicle to tell your story, like there are different ways to tell a story, and it being through NPCs is one way that it can tell the story, and the fact that it doesn't, I feel like is just sucks. Like I feel like there can be a better way for them to deliver some parts of the story, and it doesn't even have to be like they offload some of the cutscene plot into NPCs. I'm talking about little things, like the little things that I told you about those characters. Those aren't necessary technically, but like it really makes me feel like I'm a part of this world. And when I finish the game, I'm like, yeah, like I kind of don't want to leave. Like I know this world so well, I know every single NPC so well that it kind of sucks to leave. Where Kingdom Hearts is like, yeah, like the story was nice, but like I don't really give a shit about any of these NPCs. Like if I'm in again the Tangled world and I'm in like that main town and I see these people in the town, like I don't know anyone here. I don't care. I don't know a single person's name except for like maybe Rapunzel and like the main people. That's just something like I wish Kingdom Hearts would capitalize on, because it's such a rich well of plot and like interesting stuff and story you can get from that. But that's pretty much where I want to go. Sorry for the long tangent of going to the Trail series, but I think that was the best way to illustrate to you of what the potential is for Kingdom Hearts, because Kingdom Hearts has such a fantastic story, but they can get so much more tiny and detailed micro stories out of it if they use NPCs in a new way like the Trails games do. But that's pretty much what I want to say about Dream Dive, where the NPCs can be hopefully used better in a future game. Do I think it's gonna happen? Not a shot. Like I just don't think Kingdom Hearts is the type of game to do that. Like I mentioned, I don't know how they would do that. Like how the hell would they? Because the only NPCs they have are Disney characters. The only way it would work is if a part of every Disney world they also had more original characters, which maybe it'd work. I still don't know how that would work, but like that's just something like I wish. It's a dream. That's why it's called Dream Dive. It's a dream of mine to be in the future of Kingdom Hearts, but like I don't honestly believe it's gonna happen. But yeah, NPCs would be pretty cool.